Never mind.
Huh?
No, you're good.
Okay, well.
I was gonna wait, but we're live. Hello, everyone. This is our cold opening.
Okay. Hey, welcome to this episode of Galactic Nerd Outpost. I am your host, Joey McGee, aka Gojin the Makai Phantom, and joining me is Zimzilla99 and Forgotten Pharaoh.
Greetings!
And for those who don't know, recently Shin Ultraman was released in Japanese theaters, and from what I heard, it's pretty good. Haven't really seen anything of it yet, but I definitely look forward to it. But in celebration, we're going to discuss what we think should get the Shin treatment next.
Indeed, we are. All of us have 3 different ideas that we have. Some of us a little bit more than others because some of us just can't pick. But some of us also have a few that do cross over. So when that does happen, we will discuss it.
Yes, very much so. But that being said, let's get into it. My first pick is going to be Shin Mothra. Why I feel this way is because, like, for example, remember a few years ago when Toho was talking about this cinematic universe thing that involved Mothra and all of that, and they mentioned it again in 2021. So, and then when you got this whole Shin universe thing, and even if this isn't just one universe, like let's say you got the Shin Ultraverse, which you already have confirmed sequels like Shin Ultraman 2, Shin Ultra 7, yada yada yada, and then you probably would get something like the Shin Toho Monster Universe, which would involve stuff like this. Like, that's something I think would very much work, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that sort of ended up as the case. Now, I'm not sure. Like, maybe it is one universe, because I have heard there is some ties to Shin Godzilla and Shin Ultraman. Don't spoil those ties. Don't say if it's a full tie-in if you know what it is, and don't say if it's just little things that are references. Like, please don't spoil that to me. But I heard there is some ties, so maybe this is all one world, but I would like to see Mothra because we would get something a lot like what Anno and Higuchi was able to bring with Godzilla, with the cinematography, the politics. So they would probably keep the original message of Mothra in there, since the message to the OG Mothra movie is still very much relevant till this day. So Anno
Which is
essentially stuff like don't mess with the environment, and commercialization and stuff like that.
And that short stacks are queens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but all that is still very relevant till this day. While the message in Gogeta is still very powerful, that was still a thing of its time, since it was essentially not only about war, but also the Hiroshima bombing and stuff like that. So
I'm going to piggyback off your idea for a second, where yes, like Mothra is one of my picks too, basically. But the environmental idea is exactly what's needed, but I feel like more of the consequence of what happens currently with how our climate's completely kind of out of whack. So it could be more of a thing of, because our planet is so damaged and we didn't learn from the previous warnings, Mothra has kind of come out as a response to the environment being so heavily damaged. So now she's going to try and fix it, whether we want her to or not.
That's
and then
a pretty
you can have
good
the whole
idea.
business ethics side of it too.
That's a pretty good idea, especially since how, judging by Shin Godzilla, Anno and Higuchi liked it to kind of take stuff about that, the original aspects, and enhance them and kind of over the top it in a good way. Mm-hmm. But speaking of such, it would also kind of add a nice little fantasy aspect. Like, Mothra, as you guys know, is more mystical. She's got mystical lore, mystical abilities, all this crazy shit. Like, look what Anno and Higuchi gave Godzilla, a monster who didn't have all this crazy mystical stuff on his abilities. Just imagine what they could do with Mothra, like having the original abilities alongside that group. Also, the incredible cinematography, the way the action scenes would be shot. There is a lot of potential of what they could bring in a Mothra movie.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
But I think there is a lot that they could do with it, because especially with those mystical abilities, I feel like Anno and Higuchi would take advantage of that, and they could make a monster who doesn't do all this physical stuff very often and add a lot more to her.
I'm curious. What mystical abilities do you mean specifically? I know the fairies have some random magical powers to them, but old school Mothra never really did a lot aside from having pollen.
Well, in the original,
that's true, but like for example, since Mothra has evolved as a character, similar to how Godzilla's got his different abilities, Mothra kind of taking on the abilities of her later incarnations, like
Mothra Leo.
Yeah, like Mothra Leo's abilities, or like the mystical barrier from Battle for Earth.
Ooh,
The transcending fade, I think that's what the ability was called, from Mothra 3. Even like just her transforming and like essentially tackling different aspects of environmentalism, but like having different action sequences catered to different Mothra forms could be something that would work.
Yeah, very much, very much.
So
like
that way.
example, like fighting Mothra in the ocean, we get a new version of Aqua Mothra, or like her directly attacking a city could be like a more menacing version of like what's it called, Armor Mothra. And even then, we may not even have to have it be a Mothra movie. It could be a like new Mothra movie that has like Batra, for example, or even then it would be interesting to see like if with a success from Shin Godzilla and from Shin Ultraman, and whenever Kamara comes out, that's also a success. Toho could be like, hey, you get more freedom, and then Anno and Higuchi are like, you know what, let's take Batra and make that the main monster instead of Mothra, because there's a lot more flexibility with the character.
And that does kind of fit more because Batra is the one that attacked.
Yeah,
Batra is legend. Batra attacked people because it was harming the Earth.
Yeah, Batra was much more proactive would be the right word. Violently proactive. So like, even then, it could be Batra could be the secret villain for the film, where Mothra is trying to stop people from doing things, but in a more passive way. And we still see shots of a moth-like creature fighting the military, and then we come to find out it is actually Batra, and we get a Mothra versus Batra fight, which doesn't include Godzilla, which I don't mind because then it allows Batra to get more characterization.
Yes,
I agree 100%. Like for example, like you're already getting sequels to Shin Ultraman. Like I would personally expect that in a sequel to Mothra, but if they added that in the first, I sure as fuck would not be mad because Batra, as JSP said in the comments, needs a fucking comeback, and it would be cool to see it. Batra is kind of like a Shin Mothra anyway, so that would be pretty nice. Now, design-wise,
Yeah, Batra is just the anti-Mothra.
Yeah,
so like him being more aggressive also allows him to be more flexible as a character without people being turned off by it.
Yeah. I also feel like it would kind of Mothra's design, considering how Anno likes to take stuff to the extreme when it comes to these, would be a bit more similar to an actual moth, like in King of the Monsters, considering that, like, for example, Shin Ultraman, he took that hero of Ultraman and kind of made him, more alien-esque than in the original. So with modern technology, they'd probably take what they could do with that and exaggerate and go a bit further with the design. You know, if you know what I mean.
Kinda. I would actually want a more angelic type thing because Mothra is supposed to be a guardian, so I'd want to have more of a cute, bright, protecting type of thing. Moths up close are not good to look at, but Mothra in most of her incarnations have been really cute and pleasant, and someone's like, oh my god, that's adorable. I kind of want more of that, where it's like, oh my god, this is like a heavenly being that's watching over the planet.
We could also like, seeing as Incarnation of Truth, Justice, and Light was the influence for Ultraman, we could see them using the Mothra concept arts, which are definitely more on the Monstrous side, but like they could definitely still work in terms of having a more benevolent monster as the lead character.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with you, Pharaoh. I would like to have a bit of a moth design combined with the more angelic looks, because that's what later incarnations of moths did have, but Anno and Higuchi could kind of put that in a more modern sense with the technology we have today. And it would be nice. Like, Rebirth of Mothra definitely did that, and so did even King of the Monsters did that. And
Yeah.
I think Anno could really, really take that to the new level.
I would like that. I would love to have Mothra back.
Okay, and JS Penna said, "Oh, fuck you, some moth species are adorable."
All right, fair enough, but up close, some of them look terrifying.
Yeah.
Like at a distance, yes. Up close,
Yeah. Mad Matt, the heavy metal mecha pilot, said, "I'd be more down for Shin Gamera, and even darker than the Heisei trilogy, too." I would be down for that, too, but reason why I kind of didn't bring that up is because I feel like it'd be too obvious. Like, people would see my list and be like, "Oh, yeah, this dude's a basic bitch," and stuff
plus,
like
that's
that.
one of my picks, so...
Yeah.
That's
At least one of us has to be basic.
They don't make anything Gamera because no one cares.
Yeah, it's a shame because, well, I think Gamera more needs a revival because when the Heisei era came out, those movies did very well, even won awards in Japan. Just the thing is,
we'll save that for my pick. I
Okay,
have my defense for that one.
I was gonna say Shin Gamera, but the only reason I didn't is because Higuchi's already worked on Gamera before, and I'm not sure whether he'd be opposed to working on something like that again. But I don't know. That was primarily the reason because if he hadn't worked on Gamera before, I would have said Shin Gamera.
Okay. Me, I'm trying to choose stuff that, like Gamera, yeah, I do want that, but the reason I didn't pick that is because everyone wants it. That's why I didn't pick it.
I mean, I feel like that's why one of us should pick it. So that way it's like, yeah, people want this. Let it be known people want this.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true. Okay, so who comes next?
Zim, go for it.
Yeah, I'm kind of below you anyway, so I'll go. I also did set up a PowerPoint for mine as well, so I'll show that. So start from beginning. There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yes, what is that?
So these are the Caberos Panzerkops, and they are from the Cabero saga, which includes stuff like Red Spectacles, and then While Waiting for Red Spectacles, which was the original audio drama that aired in Japan before that film came out. And then, of course, the famous anime Genro, the Wolf Brigade, which would later be adapted into the Korean film Ilong, the Wolf Brigade. And the reason I brought this up is because the Cabero saga already has two Toku films in the form of Red Spectacles and Stray Dogs. And seeing a new Caberos film with more modern Toku effects would do wonders to just showing off this awesome design. Like, this is, in my opinion, peak sci-fi armor. So I just love the near future look to it. They're terrifying, interesting in terms of the politics that could be explored by Anno and Higuchi in this universe. Because for context, the Cabero saga exists in a world where Hitler was assassinated, a German officer took over, and they ended up bombing Japan, and Japan would later be taken over by Germany, similar to how the Americans would occupy Germany for a little bit. And after Germany pulls out, Japan is suffering from internal strife, and because of the mass amounts of protests and political violence that take place, they decide to build the Caberos Panzerkops, which are these guys here, to quell these violent uprisings. And we follow many different Panzerkops throughout the series, and having a new one would allow them the flexibility of tackling a new Panzerkop, or have the Panzerkops be more of just a kind of natural like disaster and antagonistic force to the protagonists. And both of those suit the image of these characters. And seeing as like this series is also kind of underground and not known by a lot of people, but is influenced almost anywhere. So the influences for like a lot of the Wolfenstein armor, as well as the armor used by the Hellgast and Killzone, are both inspired by these guys. And in the recent Halo Infinite season, Lone Wolves, the Eagle Strike Fracture armor, which is where Halo takes alternate universes and allows Spartans to have these cool new armors, they do indeed have a helmet that looks like these guys right here, and it is indeed called Caberos. So I think that there is indeed an interest for more Caberos content, like directly rather than influence. And I think Anno and Higuchi would be perfect to tackle this franchise.
Oh, I agree. Like, I haven't seen any Caberos works myself, but I've been wanting to for years. And I think when it comes to Caberos, it's one of those examples of a live action adaptation that's more popular than the anime because they get a lot of traction. That's one of the reasons why I sort of brought them up in my one video I did on why live action adaptations work. And I always thought they looked really freaking good, and I liked the concept of them. And since they are a political sort of thing, it definitely would be up Anno and Higuchi's alley, since the Shin thing is political. Hell, I think.
And the good thing is that also Shin was very it was very bipartisan in how it treated its content, and Jinro is in a very similar boat. So I think that their style of commentary and the Caballeros' style of commentary are I think they just mix very well, and I think that would be a group that would be perfect.
They would. Mad Matt, the heavy metal pilot, said 3 things. One was, oh, Caballeros' corpse, nice. Love Jinro myself, dude. And the final thing he said, oh, you know what would be a good Shin kicker? Shin Gunhead. I haven't seen Gunhead, but I heard it's a lot of fun. Titan Goji did a solid review of it that did get me interested in wanting to check it out. It looks like a fun little mecha movie.
Would be fun.
Huh?
That does seem interesting. And yeah, good pick.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, I agree.
It would also, to kind of elaborate on Matt's choice, something I would say about it is though Gunhead is more cheesy fun, the original film, it would be kind of interesting to see Anno and Higuchi put a more serious spin on it, while also leaving in some of the humor of the original, because I've seen Anno and Higuchi's work. They often have jokes in it, but nothing that would kind of bleed all over the serious aspect, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think Gunhead's universe benefits from a more serious director, so I do think that they would be a good fit for a more darker take on Gunhead.
Most definitely. Okay, so Pharaoh, what's your choice?
All right, so since someone brought it up already, I'm still choosing Gamera because y'all are afraid to say it, apparently. And I'm like, that's kind of why I piggybacked off your idea from Mothra, because that was my idea for Mothra specifically. That we do a remake for Mothra, but have her basically trying to save the planet from all the damage it's causing. And then kind of thought of throwing Batra into it because Batra is the problem. Because Batra actively attacks humans when they're damaging the planet. That premise would be what I would give to Gamera specifically, because Gamera is supposed to be the protector, guardian of the universe, whatever. But
yes,
one of the big things I remember listening to was he'll protect the planet. Doesn't mean people.
Yeah, that is true, because
with Earth,
even in the 90s movies, when Gamera would try to eliminate the gals, he would show no consideration for the people. Like, if he could save the people, he'd sometimes will stick his hand out and stuff like that, but if he has to kill, he would. He's not this superhero, okay? He's a monster that protects the world.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure all of us, or majority of us, has seen the Heisei Gamera movies. That third one specifically, he's fighting a bunch of gals over a city, and he blows up half that city trying to kill 2 of those gaios or gals, so however you pronounce it. He killed more people than the things he was fighting.
Well, yeah, like I said, if he can, he will save the people. But if the people get in his way,
they weren't even in his way. They were just in line of fire.
That is true.
Like, they didn't do anything. They were just there. They just existed, and he actively was shooting wildly.
That is true. But what I mean that's why he sometimes saves people when he can is, like, for example, when he is battling Edis at the end, he ripped that one girl out and saved her.
I'm pretty sure that was the only way that was to kill Iris, though.
That is true. But I
feel
like
I would say this would be more specific, like for a story they'd have to do, but it would be really interesting to have a child grow up being saved by Gamera. And then, like, once they become an adult, you just kind of follow their life and sort of see where their path takes them down. And then they end up inevitably getting killed by Gamera because since he's no longer a child and Gamera's the protector of children, his death in Gamera's eyes justifies the means. Not because he's intentionally trying to kill this person, but more because, like, he just so happens to be in the way of a monster battle.
I would have taken
it just seems
child
like
thing
a dark
out.
fairy tale in a sense. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's a good way of going through it. I would have taken the whole child angle out. I'm like, no. Humans have botched Earth so much that we finally awakened something, that we've awakened some prehistoric creature designed to protect it. So this, like, Gamera is basically the Earth's immune system coming out to rectify what's causing the problem and stopping it.
Yeah.
I like that idea. That's a really funny, dark idea where he protects this one child. The child grows up, thankful for Gamera, then dying to Gamera later on because he's no longer a kid and probably became a problem at some point.
Yeah.
It's like, I wouldn't throw in any of the other monsters. I would have it focus just on Gamera being a problem that we essentially created.
Okay, so it'd kind of be like the Shin treatment to the original movie, like the other Shin stuff.
I forget why Gamera actively came out at first.
It was on nuclear tests up in the Arctic.
Right. Instead of doing nuclear tests, it's just the world's heavily polluted, the ozone layer is kind of deteriorating, global warming's happening. He's just been buried in these ice caps for so long that it's finally awakened. Go with that old school mentality. It's like, oh, this is a thing that's been just hiding in the planet for millions of years, and we've accidentally awakened it because the planet's so deteriorated now.
Yeah. And one thing I would say is, like, what I would kind of expect from a Shin Gamera would kind of be like a reimagining of the original film if it was made in the Gamera trilogy, if that makes sense.
What? Like in the old one? Like the Heisei?
Yeah, like if it would be like if the Gamera trilogy decided to reimagine the original movie from the 60s. That's how I would sort of imagine it. It would have the same tone, but it would kind of be retelling that story just with new aspects to it. That's what I would sort of expect.
Well, that's the Shin treatment, essentially. Godzilla was doing similar to what, like, Shin Godzilla was going through the same beats before, of the idea of nuclear waste being irresponsible with nuclear waste and testing, as well as what we don't know about radiation in itself, that it's an unknown, that once it's unleashed, we don't know what it can do.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Plus added things on of how the Japanese government functions and a little bit of the tsunami wakes, reminiscent to how the Hiroshima bombings were, where it was a societal issue or a societal trauma that happened. Gamera can have that on a worldly level because now it affects everything.
Yeah.
I would love for it to go. I would enjoy seeing that. And he deserves a comeback. Of all the times Godzilla has come back, as much as I appreciate it, Gamera keeps getting slept on.
Yeah, I would like Gamera to come back because the entire Heisei era, including the 2000s movie The Brave, many people don't put that as a Heisei film, but it is.
Yeah.
Those were all incredible movies, and I loved every bit of it. And I would like to see Gamera come back. Shit, even something like The Brave, I'd be down for. I just want another Gamera movie.
Yeah, like he ended off strong in the 90s, and we haven't heard from him since. Godzilla's had a lot of weak movies, but he keeps coming back. And as much as I love that, I would like to see others too. And if he comes back, maybe we'll get that long-awaited Godzilla vs. Gamera movie.
Yeah, I would like that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it would be interesting if they did do a what's it called? Like Shin Gamera that did lead up into like a Shin Godzilla versus Shin Gamera.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Especially since when it comes to all these Shin stuff, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but all of them have a very much similar. I think a lot of them have all the companies working together in some way. Like Shin Ultraman has Subaraya, but it also has Toho and the company who does Evangelion on it. Shin Kamen Rider has Toei and also that company who worked on Eva working on it. So that could work since there seems to be a shared property in terms of the Shin treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, entirely possible.
Well, I think we'll probably know whether or not it's like the full thing if Kamen Rider is gets Ultra references to it.
Yeah,
But
That's when we'll get our confirmation.
So yeah, that's my pick.
Okay, I'm gonna go to mine. Just give me a minute. Oh shit, 1 minute. My next pick is Shin Super Sentai, which would be the original Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. Why I choose this is, again, like, you already have the other superhero stuff and the Shin thing, and Anno, he's a big fan of stuff like Kamen Rider and things like that. He's a fucking Toku nerd. So we are already getting stuff like Kamen Rider. Like, Sentai is kind of similar, but also has... Sentai is also known for having this blend of goofiness and seriousness, and I think it would be cool to kind of see Anno and Higuchi give a take on that by giving that similar action to Kamen Rider and even Ultraman, while kind of carrying its own thing. Like, it would have the drama and some political themes injected into it, but would not be afraid to kind of have fun with itself, since Sentai is always known to kind of blend tones together. And, like, it would... I think when it comes to that overall tone aspect of it, Anno and Higuchi are no stranger to comedy, as I said. Like, Evangelion had some jokes in it. Despite it being overall very serious, there was comedy here and there in Evangelion. There was also the live-action Cutie Honey, which, for those who don't know, was an Anno and Higuchi project, at least Anno, and that film had a lot of fucking comedy in it. And for those who don't know, essentially, he took a lot from Kamen Rider when he adapted that movie, and... it would be nice to kind of see all that take place in a Sentai film, while also involving that cool cinematography you get from the other Shin projects, and also a more serious take on it. That's how I feel about it. And when it comes, like, just imagine what a Power Rangers equivalent would be to Shin Sentai. I'm not a Power Rangers fan. In fact, I fucking hate Power Rangers.
Dun dun dun.
But if we got a Power Rangers equivalent to Shin Sentai, that'd be something I'd be willing to watch. It would kind of be what I would expect, a more adult take that would kind of have a tone where it would feel like an adaptation of one of those Power Rangers comics you get in the West. Because I hear the comics of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers are more mature.
They're really good, I'll be honest.
Huh?
The comics for Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers, because they split that title up, is really fun.
Yeah, I heard they are. I heard they capture more of the spirit of Sentai than the TV shows do, and that's kind of what I would expect out of it. It's
a weird take. It's like at some point it's like one part Guardians of the Galaxy, one part Protectors of Earth, but a lot of times it still is in the vein of Power Rangers in itself. I don't really know how to describe it, because Sentai things get really silly, and I like some of the Power Rangers storylines. Like, I really, really love Time Force.
That is true. Like, maybe I need to rewatch some Power Rangers shows, but I don't know. There's a lot I just didn't like looking back. But you know what? Since I do like Toku, I think it's probably... I think as a Toku fan, it's kind of necessary for me to go down and give them a shot at some point. But that is an equivalent I would be willing to see, like an adult Power Rangers show. That would be cool. And also, another reason why I choose this is Kamen Rider and Sentai collab all the time. They do that. Like, though Kamen Rider is more serious, Sentai and Kamen Rider with every current show meet up together at some point. And I think that's what would happen here. You would get, like, one Kamen Rider film, one Sentai film, and then down the road, they would end up meeting up. And I think it would just be overall really cool and could lead to a lot of great opportunities. We could even get some mechs down the road. Like, let's say this is all one universe, which again, to those
like Zords are... I feel like Zords are a main part of this.
Well, yeah, but when it comes to Sentai, the mechs weren't there from the beginning. Like, fun fact, when it came to the mechs of Sentai, those came later because down the road, Toei made Spider-Man, which had Leopardon. in Leopardon people like so much, they added those in later Sentai stuff. But since that is in later Sentai stuff, even if it is a reimagining of the first, I feel like it wouldn't harm it to throw those in, especially if it is one universe, considering you have a lot of giants like Evangelions, Ultraman, Godzilla, and that's if it's one universe. Like, to those who read the spoilers, don't spoil anything for me or anybody else here. But even if it's not, it could still really work, and it's a collab with Kamen Rider. But that's how I feel.
Part of me just kind of wants a Shin Spider-Man just so we can see Leopardon return.
Yeah, I would like that too.
And just so that like Marvel fanboys, like MCU stands, can like squeal in rage when he says, "I am the emissary of hell, Spider-Man."
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Just for the kid, I'm pretty sure they're gonna bring Leopardon into it in the next Spider-Verse movies. They said they wanted to add in more, and they had to drop Leopardon because they didn't have a right place for him. They're gonna try and put him into the next ones.
Yeah, I keep on hearing that that's what they wanted. That like Leopardon was what they wanted, or that he was gonna be in the next one. I'm not holding my breath, but if it does happen, I will be genuinely surprised and pretty happy.
Yeah,
I would too, especially, it would just be nice to see that Spider-Man get revived. If it would, I'm going to use that to make fun of MCU fans. I'm just going to go, just for the sake of it, even if it's not as good, I'm just going to go and just to piss off those toxic Marvel fans and be like, hey, this is a lot better than your shitty Disney movies, just to watch them screech like a little bitch.
That's just being mean.
Well,
true, but like, again, it's Gojin too, so there is that.
Yeah, I'm a dick, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, JS Penna said, not relevant, but if there is a Spider-Man No Way Home style Godzilla movie in the MonsterVerse, which monster from Showa, Heisei, and Millennium would you want to see show up?
Wait, ask that one more time?
Yeah.
JS Penna said, not relevant, but if there was a Spider-Man No Way Home style Godzilla movie in the MonsterVerse, which monster from the Showa and Heisei and Millennium era would you like to see show up?
Which monsters from the Showa series, the Heisei Millennium, as villains you'd want to see?
Yeah,
I honestly wouldn't want to see a Godzilla multiverse. That's way too confusing.
Yeah, but
I wouldn't mind it as like a fun little like animated thing, similar to Into the Spider-Verse, where like it's something that like you're gonna have to maybe look for a little bit more because you're a fan. But like if I had to pick, this is difficult.
Godzilla 2000. That one's always my favorite.
Well, that and the villains, but if I was gonna say villains, Gigan for Showa. I think that's Bashuan because my favorite monster from Showa.
Good pick.
Space Godzilla probably for Heisei, him or Destroya, one of those two.
I feel like Destroya is still possible in modern day, because as humans keep making new weaponry, Destroya has the best potential of, we've made a new weapon, holy shit, this is the most dangerous thing we've ever created.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then probably Kaiser Ghidorah for Millennium, because I think that those three would work perfectly with each other. And then obviously for the Godzillas, probably 75 Godzilla. For Heisei, I would say it would have to be Space Godzilla era Heisei Godzilla, although in terms of design I'd rather have them closer to Biogoji in terms of design. But and then for Millennium, probably 2000. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, I can't do 2000 because I'm not having Orga, so it'd have to be Final Wars in my scenario.
Okay. What about the one from Megaguirus? Because they had very similar suits then.
Then I'd have to use Megaguirus instead of Kaiser Ghidorah if we're being consistent in terms of like how the universe worked.
Oh, all right.
But like, I guess if actually, no, I could do Yeah, actually, I can change it because, for example, Toby had 2 of his villains come back. So I guess for in that case, like if we're trying to get it all even, then I could have what's it called for Final Goji? I get Millennium Gaigan and Monster X for Final Goji, and then the same thing happened for Andrew. So then for Heisei Godzilla, I can get Space Godzilla, and then I can actually get Biollante. So I'm happy about that. And then for Showa, I could just have what's it called? Just normal Mechagodzilla for 75.
All right, fair enough. I would actually want time to figure out what I'm piecing together and what I'd want it to be a part of. I feel like that'd be a whole other topic for me.
Yeah, it probably would. Like that would honestly be an interesting stream, I think.
Yeah, I want time to figure out what monsters I'd really want and how they'd be used properly.
Okay. But that said, what's your next pick, Zimzilla?
All right, I'll share my screen again. A second. There we go. So mine's actually going to be a double pick, and you can share that whenever, Joey.
Okay. Good. Okay.
I'm excited.
So it is going to be Atragon, and the second one for it is Matango. So starting with Atragon, the Undersea Warship, which is the book that inspired Atragon, very political film, very intrinsic to Japan's identity. And I think that similarly to how Shin tackled a very Japanese issue in terms of like what it was referencing, Atragon can do that in a similar way. Just it allows for probably a more fleshed out Mu. Manda can be reintroduced into a modern movie and probably actually get more screen time and more respect.
Poor Manda.
But yeah, no, I think that the idea of a serious sci-fi naval story would work really well for Anno and Higuchi. And then Matango being a very psychological thriller, but also having monsters would be also perfect for the duo to not only delve into characters, maybe having a whole new set of people on the island, maybe even reference the original Matango, but like just like having body horror with mushroom transformations would be something I think they can do and pull off very convincingly, especially because if it's going to be smaller monsters, they may be working more practical like the peers are doing with Ryder. So we may get to see more like body horror suits and the like. So like maybe verging on kind of like the Resident Evil kind of style stuff. Cause like seeing like it doesn't necessarily have to be actiony, but like seeing like a Matango like creature similar to like Nemesis or the Tyrants would definitely be interesting for like an updated Matango movie, in my opinion.
That is a very psychedelic movie, and if they can do proper body horror with those mushroom people, that'd be very, very exciting.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Creepy.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Like Matango, I fucking love that movie. It, in my opinion, in many ways, it stands the test of time. As even with the dated effects, it's still fucking unsettling to watch. And Honda had a very unique mind when he made it. So seeing that in modernization in Anno and Higuchi's vision, I think could bring something really unique to the screen.
I also agree with Atragon because that was going to be my other pick too.
Yeah, so mine's well, since that is your other pick, we'll go right into you.
Yeah, like I'll just kind of piggyback off yours because I love that battleship. I really do. I have a thing for battleship games or movies or warships. I love the battleship Yamato whole idea going in the like that whole series. I love the actual history behind it. I love that they turned it into an anime of space battleship Yamato.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was thinking of. Was space battleship Yamato would be another big influence they could pull to make a Shin Atragon.
Oh yeah, it'd be great. And I loved when they updated it in Godzilla Final Wars and called it the Gotengo. I was like, wow, that looks really cool, streamlined. I would want them to do something similar with that. But
or they could also probably have like they could also reference the other mobile battleships that we saw in Final Wars 2 if they were able to make a Shin Atragon. So like a gigantic either like half naval, half aerial battle between like the Otengo, like Manda, the Mu army, and like the Karyu rumbling and all that.
Oh yeah, it'd be great, and you can name the other ships based on other space, either from the other space battleships or other ships from properties that had something similar.
Yeah,
Like one of them
exactly.
could be called the Yamato, or what was that other one? The Andromeda.
Mhm.
Because I have a bunch of those. Like, they can name so many, or the Karyu, or Kiru for that matter.
Yeah,
Just to pull in
exactly.
from everywhere else. Like it'd be so much fun.
Or like they could go like anime focused too, and like have like one of them named Macross or something.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. And you can do a lot of different ideas with it. One idea that I was thinking of more so would be having almost like a Star Trek style vibe where you have the battleship, but you're going around to either different locations on Earth or going to different dimensions or going to different places underwater or places we haven't yet to explore. And we're encountering either hostile forces or aliens or monsters where the crew has to deal with the problem, and then it always somehow leads into a battleship fight.
Yeah. Well, ironically enough, you mentioned the Mysterians. That was the third pick I was thinking of for this section because I essentially based them off of like properties, and Toho was like my big second pick. In between, like the Mysterians was just the one I left off because I think I would have preferred to see like a horror movie or a more military focused film rather than an alien invasion story from them. But yeah, the Mysterians would be another one they could probably bring back that I think has a lot of potential.
Yeah, we can even tie it to like if this does an animation series, you can put the Mysterians as an episode for this, where the Mysterians try to invade or they go to a Mysterian area and they have to deal with that weird wonky looking Mogera or an updated version of it.
Honestly, like all the auxiliary Toho sci-fi films could work as episodes of like an Atragon show.
It'd be so much fun seeing
like
that, man.
First, like fighting against like Mu being a recurring antagonist, Varen appearing in one episode, having a Frankenstein episode with Baragon in it, Space Amoeba being an episode,
the Gargantuas in another.
The Gargantuas being an episode. Even like Latitude Zero could work as a like the end of the series is essentially like the society that Latitude Zero creates, and like with now Mu gone, essentially they become like the remnants. They become like remnants and they resemble the foes from at Latitude Zero in a way. Like there's a lot of potential that the Toho sci-fi auxiliary films have that could work well in being updated.
Yeah, you can even throw the Matango mushroom people into it.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, what's this island? It's like, oh, this is an island we either need to eradicate or just put off limits.
Yeah, they may not even have to be like parts on Earth. Like it could be set in the future and they're just going to planets, or it could be just going to a planet. And they encounter the Mysterians and then all these monsters on the planet.
That'd be so much fun to go through. I would want to write that story now. Actually, I'm upset we may never get that now.
The good thing is that now, like, I mean, for me as a writer, anytime I think up ideas I would love to see, now I'm just like, okay, I'm writing that down. That's gonna be a story I'm gonna be writing down in a couple days.
I do the same. That's so fun. I thought I was alone now.
Nope. Yeah, that's the mind of a creative right there. Every day is like, write that down. Write that down.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been like in my background, I've been writing Godzilla stories, and one of them I have been doing something similar to a Gotengo, but I kept them on Earth and going into the Hollow Earth, trying to study different monsters from folklore or similar to what the MonsterVerse was doing. So I'm like, cool, I just kind of put Gotengo into that and have my own little Star Trek thing. But now it's like, oh, this takes it to a whole new level. Like, that's an entirely different series where I can use all my battleships now.
Yeah, no, because I know for me, like, everyone knows me as the 98 man who does not like 98. But ironically, that's a whole other story. But like, essentially, my dislike of 98 and rewriting it has spawned into writing a novel based on my 98 rewrite that's gonna be its own thing. So
that sounds exciting and fun, and I want to hear it.
Probably after the stream I can probably explain all of it for you.
Can we do like a story stream? I'm totally down for a story stream.
If we're doing a story stream, it's on my channel because I am the writer YouTuber between me and Gojin, so it's gonna be on my stream. Joey, you get your own stream with Black.
There's enough.
But yeah, no, since me and Pharaoh both got our number 2 in, Joey, that means you get number 3 now.
Yep. Okay. My next pick is Garo. why I choose Garo is because the thing is,
Because it's you.
Yeah.
yes, because it's me. That's the only reason why I have Makai in my name, because I love Garo as much as I love Godzilla, and it would definitely be something I would like to see. Though at first I was kind of iffy on choosing this, believe it or not, mainly because I was like that. You know, what would Garo be like without Keita Amameya? And at the same time, I was like that it's so vastly different than what Anno and Higuchi has been covering. But then I was thinking, like, let's pretend for a minute that there is any MCU type thing going on, even like just with the certain universes. In MCU, you have all this crazy shit that go in, like some being more over the top than others, some magical stuff like Doctor Strange. It would be interesting to see Garo kind of add a flavor into that, mainly because when it comes to Garo, you would able to have those beautiful cinematography shots from Hideaki Anno when it comes to the Makai Knights versus the horrors, but you would also get a smaller hero to kind of match the size of Kamen Rider in order to battle other things that kind of get in the way. And it would be interesting, like, dude, imagine if Shin Godzilla was a fucking horror. That would be interesting.
I mean, isn't it?
Yeah.
It kind of is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting, especially since he can't die, and the horrors in Garo can't fucking die. And when it comes to Shin Godzilla, he just evolves to match any situation. And those things on his tail look already demonic enough. And it would be nice to see the Makai Knights hunting them in like, let's say, a reimagining of the Garo move in the Garo story. You'd have the other horrors from the TV show, but you would also have those things on Shin Godzilla's tail that Garo, Zero, and all that would kind of be hunting down. And
in a way, like, what could work is the Shin Godzilla tail creatures, where the evolution just replicated something that already existed, not necessarily in nature, but just existed in the world, and it just so happened to be like what basic horrors looked like.
yeah,
and then we get to reuse the design outside of Shin. And like, it would be also interesting if, like, for example, like, if everything is going to be connected with this Shinverse, where like you could see like Garo and like some other horror fighting on top of the frozen Shin Godzilla. It would be an interesting spectacle.
Yes, that would, because, like, if you guys went to anybody who watched Garo, like, you have all these very fast-paced battles that go on in these very crazy areas. Like, sometimes they're falling down from a building, sometimes they're on top of something. It would work to kind of see that on Godzilla, and it would be overall very interesting, I think. And overall, I think it would be a very unique spectacle that would add very much to the universe that I would personally be very cool with. And it would kind of also add more of that J-horror aspect, because Garo has a lot of J-horror in it. It's one of my go-to examples of real action horror, unlike what Resident Evil movies turned into, Underworld, and all that stuff. Like, you had stuff like things that were similar to Kayako Saiki from Ju-on and the chick from Ningu and stuff like that. It would be cool to kind of see that all in a movie. I would like that personally.
As someone who has watched Garo, I will say that is a very fun idea. It's not a very scary idea, as you keep saying it is, but I feel like with some different touches going into it and different direction, it can feel a lot scarier, especially with the morphing with the yokai monsters or the horrors. Thank you.
Yeah,
Jinx.
Yeah, everyone on this podcast have seen the show. Me and Zim actually reviewed it back in 2020, and I did a somewhat polished version of it recently.
I mean, well, no, I was gonna say one thing that could be referenced, but they would probably reference this since it's not even really Japanese, is it'd be interesting to see a Garo like movie or world be more like Warhammer 40k, in the sense where the idea of horrors is kind of known, but there's like people that are actively suppressing that knowledge, while then like you're never gonna see, like, if someone saw Makai Knight, it's gonna be like a 1 in a billion chance of you seeing it, and then they're essentially like angelic figures or like saints to the comic people. But that's very much more of a Western kind of aesthetic to it when it comes to how like I'd write something like that, which I don't think they would, but it would be an interesting thought nonetheless.
Well, even Garo, even the original stuff by Keita Amamiya had the Makai Knights are portrayed to be somewhat angelic. Like sometimes in some of the forms, they even have some type of angel wings like things in certain entries, and so. But yeah, and I think Anno could kind of expand on that, kind of like how he sort of likes to exaggerate many aspects. And man, like if they keep that Makai Knight Berserk form, I think that's what it's called. Just imagine a Shin treatment of that with modern big budget CGI. That would be incredible. And it could make it bigger too, especially if they put it in the same universe with stuff like Shin Godzilla and all that. And in that form, to those who don't know, when they kind of go berserk, they can kind of they take the ability of their enemies and would become big enough to battle those bigger.
It's kind of like what Ultraman does.
Well, yeah, like for example in Zero Dragon Blood, when Zero ended up getting berserk, he ended up feasting a bit on that dragon he was battling, and he ended up somewhat becoming half dragon in that form and became very powerful. It's kind of like, if I was to compare that to anything, it's similar to what Orgo was trying to do to Godzilla in Godzilla 2000.
Feels like that is also how... I feel like Orga didn't do it well, though.
He tried. He fucking tried, but Godzilla outsmarted him.
Yeah, like that's kind of a problem with Godzilla, where it's like, okay, then. He's smart enough to use that as an advantage.
Yeah, that's the thing. But with that being said, there is overall a lot of incredible things that they could definitely do with Garo, because, like, don't get me wrong, Garo is already a beautifully shot thing by Keita Amamiya. Keita Amamiya has a unique mind. If I was to describe Keita Amamiya's mind, it's like a combination of H.P. Lovecraft, the guy who made Ju-On, and I forgot the guy who made Ju-On's name, but him, and Tim Burton. That's how I would describe Amamiya's mindset, and I would be interested to see Hideaki Anno, and Shinji Higuchi be faithful to that while adding their own spin on it, and maybe injecting some political themes or whatever that could make something that's really, really, really fucking good. Because Garo is very
overhyping it a little bit again, because throwing Tim Burton into it, I've seen a lot of his drawings. Those things are unsettling to look at. Where a lot of Garo's things, I'm like, I'm not unsettled. I feel interested as I want to know what they are. Where a lot of his things, I'm like, this is.
Have you seen that one bastard in Kamen Rider Zero? That movie's also by Keita Amamiya. And that one little thing, the Neo-Organism, that fucker is freaky as hell, dude. Have you seen my review of those movies?
Then?
Huh?
What's an image of that? Because clearly I haven't seen it.
Okay, I'll look it up right now. But actually, there's a few things. First, I'm gonna go to the fucking spider.
Yeah, just to show me one image of one of these creatures you think is so scary, so we have an idea of what it looks like.
Gotta go with Zeto because that's not the spider I'm looking for.
Because I've been to because Tim Burton had an exhibit at the museum a couple years back, and when
look
I
at
went
this
there,
fucking bitch.
It was so inspirational and terrifying. Like, wow, this dude is
like, look at this bitch right here.
He has some scary ideas. Oh, spooky! All right, you know what? I'm feeling some with that.
Now, one more thing.
Actually, I'm feeling that spider, the drawing spider, more.
Okay, now Neo-Organism. I'm gonna show you this one.
That's that one down there. I don't like
this one.
Is that a wall?
No, that's the Neo-Organism.
I don't understand what it is.
You have to see it in action to know what I mean.
I feel like that's an issue because when you're comparing it with Tim Burton, you're able to understand what's going on and be like, oh, I get it, and it still feels unsettling. That looks like a coin.
Well, it's easier. It looks like that in an image, but when you see it in action, it doesn't. But like I said, that's how I describe Amamiya's mindset is Tim Burton meets whoever the fuck that dude who made The Grudge's name, Ju-On. I forgot his name. Have you guys seen Ju-On?
Yeah.
I have. I don't know who makes this. I focus more on what the movie is rather than who makes it, unless it's someone I really, really like, and then I'll understand their things.
And Tim Burton, but that's personally what I would like to see. I'd like to see Anno and Higuchi's take on Garo, that being said. But anyway, what's your next pick, Zim?
You can bring up my screen again.
Okay.
So mine is either gonna be a Shin Robo or Shin Devilman, and both. That is Shin Devilman, the original manga, and then this is Shin Robo. So both of these series have already had Shin additions to them, but considering the fact that Shin Kamen Rider was already a thing before this new movie that's coming out, I think it's possible to see both of these series have a new Shin addition to them. And seeing as Devilman, I think, has other stories it could implement in the sense that, like, Amon Apocalypse was not adapted for Crybaby. We could see that. We could see stuff from all the other later Devilman stuff. And then as for Shingeki Robo, just either doing like a retelling of the original Getter Robo or following up the Getter Robo series that was never finished would be two things I could definitely see happening and would be possible.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool to see. Like for example, like you'd probably also get a similar cinematography stuff to what's typical in Shin. It's hard to describe the cinematography style, but I'm sure you guys know what I mean on that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is a great idea. I don't know much about Ghetto Robo, and if they were to make a new series, I would be very, very excited to watch it. And
and it could definitely get people into it
to see what it's like.
Exactly, yeah. And considering the fact that it's a giant robot fighting literally super evolved dinosaurs, I think it's an easy ability for people to just be like, okay, yeah, I can get into this.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And then you have Getter Robo Armageddon, where it's even more than dinosaurs. It's things like it's pretty much the kaiju version of the fucking thing.
Ooh.
Exactly. Yeah, the invaders.
Yeah, that's what the invaders are essentially in Armageddon. And if honestly, I haven't seen any Getter Robo entry, okay, but I have seen those invaders have me really interested in Armageddon because I always found them to be very fascinating. They're creepy, and the concept of them is really cool. I would honestly like to seeing Anno and Higuchi kind of put a spin on them, like being accurate to what you saw, but maybe going a little bit more over the top and freaky with them. That would be nice.
I know, like, what's it called? There are some clips of Armageddon on YouTube, so like you should definitely check those out just so you get a sense of it.
I might have to, because I'll be honest, I know there's a lot of series I haven't watched before just because I throw myself in everything, and you can't watch everything. Every time I'm like, cool, call up this series, it's like a billion things, it's too much. But when they're making these Shin movies, it gives me a chance like, oh, cool, if they're making this, I want to see it. So let me see what the old ones are like, so I'm ready for this new one. So if they were to make something like that, I would love to rewatch some of these things, especially Crybaby Devilman, and reread those because those are just good stories. I've reread those a few times. I've rewatched the Netflix version. They are still fun, no matter how many times I reread them. I can keep going back to them. So seeing a Shin version is really good.
Personally, I would like to see a proper adaptation of Devilman because I liked Crybaby and I liked the OVA films, but when it comes to the OVA films and even Crybaby for that matter, there are aspects of the story that kind of end up getting rushed in. So, and when it comes to the live-action movies, holy shit, the live-action movie, that film fucking sucked from what I've seen. And I'm an Apocalypse. Like, if we could get that into a modern version of that would be incredible because when it comes to Amen Apocalypse, the story in that film was very much felt like a best of clip show. It's entertaining, but it very much lacked the emotion of what it could have had if they would have went longer than like 20 some minutes or whatever.
Yeah, because essentially they were covering the like original parts of Devilman and then the whole new story with Amen being released from Akira.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, good picks. I like them. I'll definitely watch both.
Okay, what's your next pick?
So I'll be honest, I picked this one just out of the backgrounds of my mind, and I realized, you know what? So I've been collecting a lot of Digimon lately because I love Digimon and I've always wanted it. But they made a Digimon series in 2020 with the original characters, which I watched. It was okay. But as I'm putting my Digimon away, I remembered something. It's like, I miss playing with my Digimon but I made a story with them featuring my Mega Man characters because they're both in this cyber digital world. I'm like, all right, if I just put a dimensional barrier or something in it, I can cross Mega Man Digimon together. Then I realized I haven't done anything Mega Man or seen anything Mega Man in a long time. And I miss Mega Man. I miss Mega Man, the Battle Network series. I loved Mega Man NT Warrior growing up. I miss the Mega Man X games because they were just the old Mega Man games upgrade. Like, they were Mega Man games, but updated with more, like, better platforming, better weaponry, cooler cheats, fun, great boss music that I will listen to this day, and it still feels really good. I dare anyone to listen to Spark Mantle and realize, wow, whoever composed that tried way too hard for this video game.
Yeah.
But you know what? Mega Man's such a really fun property. He works so well in any internet space, or you could have him in just a robot space, where it's like, all right, we got to deal with virus problems, because viruses are always a thing, or new computer issues. And I just miss Mega Man. I was like, I would love to see a Shin Mega Man. More
design would you
cartoon
use?
series than in a live action. I don't feel like I don't want to see a live action Mega Man unless I have faith knowing it'll be okay.
I think it could be really.
Hmm?
I think it could be really good under Anno and Higuchi's, but like I would imagine a live-action Mega Man by Anno and Higuchi would kind of be something similar to what they're doing with Shin Kamen Rider. Like, it would kind of, like, someone might think of like seeing a man in a Mega Man suit would be goofy, but I don't think it would. Like, seeing a man in a actual suit kind of would just fit in a Toku Hero vein, just you would actually see the person's face. I think that would be kind of neat. That's how I would imagine it. Huh?
I'll be honest, Ultraman's always looked goofy to me, which is why I never really got into it. But Mega Man's aesthetic of, I'm going to beat you up, then steal you and use you as a weapon has always been really cool to me.
Yeah, and it could work, but that's how I would imagine it. Would be something similar to Shin Kamen Rider. The new Shin Kamen Rider, of course.
There's enough. I've always loved the Mega Man X games probably the most, but I have a lot of the Mega Man NT Warrior figures, and I've basically combined those worlds together where it's like, I would love just more of that. I miss when Mega Man felt like, oh, cool, we have to go into the internet and deal with whatever problem it is. Like, oh, geez, there is a virus running around infecting all my friends, and I have to help them and remove this virus that's basically like Ultron. No matter how many times you kill him, he'll keep coming back. He has copies, like Sigma has copies on copies on copies. Then you have Dr. Wily making various other robots where it's like, okay, I have you in one corner, you in another corner, and I have to save all my friends at the same time. Hell, I'd love to see Wily and Sigma go at it, and then Mega Man's in the middle is like, fuck, I gotta deal with both of these guys now. Like, I need to save everybody and have Zero thrown in there, have Dragoon thrown in there. You can either have Proto Man or Base. Base is always super cool also. He's basically just Shadow but cyborg. He's like, I want Mega Man back. We're getting, like, we have a live action Sonic movie. 2 of them. Both of which are very entertaining. They're done well. They're making a 3rd. Mega Man is a possibility now.
Yeah, very much it is. And it would be interesting. Like, I think if anyone should do Mega Man, it probably should be Japan, since Mega Man is very much like, technically Sonic is too, but I feel like there's definitely a vision America can really put on Sonic. Well, not saying that they can't on Mega Man, but I think Japan could do it best, especially in anime or tokusatsu.
Yeah, that's my idea, because I realized I miss Mega Man. I miss going into that world. And since technology is always improving, we can all, like, that means their world is always constantly improving. We have new ideas of what the internet could be in the future. So we can just put them into that, or we have ideas of what new technology is and put Mega Man into that and find new ways of upgrading him and dealing with different Reploids. Or different Reploids that now have new abilities that Mega Man has to come up, like, has to defeat and use for other opponents.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. Also, what design of Mega Man would you want them to use?
That's my thing. I do like classic little kid Mega Man, but I have a very fond nostalgia for NT Warrior and X, so I'd want to try and combine NT and X together.
Yeah, no, I know X is my favorite. So if I was gonna see something live action for, or even new animated for Mega Man, I wanted to be the X design.
Yeah, because he felt serious doing these things. Like, oh geez, Zero dies and gets sick. So he's actually going out trying to save his friends while everything's falling apart around him. While Mega Man normal is like, you're like a toddler. That's cool, but that looks way more menacing and kind of cooler. And he also has really cool Gaia art. Like, he also has better overall armor with like the Gaia armor or the black armor. Zero the same way, or like the old blue white armor going through. I'm like, you look cooler in your super form than he does.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my idea. Now I realize I miss Mega Man.
Okay, so everyone got their picks.
Yeah.
But that said, that was it for this episode. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please smash that like button, share it around, and subscribe. Make sure to also comment your thoughts down below, and also check out my social media accounts in alt tech, especially the Discord server. Links are in the description down below. This is Gojin the Makai Phantom. Wait, before we go, on this, one thing I want to say is I'm very much looking forward to Shin Ultraman. Can't wait for that to be released. And and Shin Kamen Rider looks incredible too. There's definitely a lot that we could do with those.
I am also very excited. I'm amped for it. I'm gonna see if I can find it online.
I know that like one of my old movie theaters near me ended up showing Shin Godzilla. I'm hoping that they also show Shin Ultraman if it does get a US release. So
I'm
holding out hope.
It's a possibility. If it does well, it's a very big possibility.
I hope so too. I think there's a lot of potential here. But since we're on the Shin topic, should we kind of do a bit of a trailer analysis to the recent Shin Kamen Rider, or do you think that would work for another podcast episode?
Probably work for another podcast episode.
That might work for another day.
Okay, perfect. But that said, this is Gojin the Makai Phantom, leaving the building.
Ta-da!
Peace.